All right, guys. First of all, I want to congratulate you on purchasing this $10 course. It's definitely going to be well worth your money, especially if you have a small business. I really think you're going to benefit from this. This is going to be much more than just creating a language infrastructure. What I want to do is inspire you. I want to inspire your thought process. I want to inspire you to make changes in your process that are going to make your business more profitable. I want you to walk away with a bigger vision of the future than what you have right now. Because what I'm introducing you to and what you've known about for a long time, the technology that we're talking about has been around for quite some time, but it's never really been applicable beyond the conversation. And now it's becoming applicable beyond the conversation, which means you're going to be able to do much more than you could have ever done by yourself, especially if you take advantage of what automated or artificial intelligence has to offer you and your business. And as far as your individual needs, the sky is the limit. You can program these interfaces to do whatever you need them to do. You can find people with particular expertise that can do particular things to make your interface do amazing things for your productivity. And a lot of people, especially small business people, because they care about their employees, a lot of people look at the future of artificial intelligence and say, well, that's kind of a negative because it's going to take away from the jobs that I'm providing. And that's only if you take those jobs away. Because if you're able to pay a robot, okay, so if I have a fully automated robot that only needs to charge for 3 hours a day, the rest of the day it can be doing whatever a human can do, but it can be doing a whole bunch of different things at the same time. So your one robot that you purchased for your business for $100,000 or maybe even a little bit more, when you break it down, it comes out to, like, over the life of the robot with maintenance and everything like that, I mean, depending on what kind of a robot you have and what your business is, it is cents per hour or low dollars per hour that you're paying for that robot. So what you're doing is you're adding to the capability of your employees. You're adding to the capability of your business. And while your robot is doing the things that your employees used to do, it's also doing a lot of other things. It's also answering your telephone. It is communicating with your clients on Facebook or Skype or whatever instant messenger service they're using. And that's how I want to stimulate your thought process. If you're driving in your car and you're using Google Assistant, and more people will in the future, and you say, hey, Google, let me talk to whatever your company is called, is it going to bring up your artificial intelligence agent? And if the answer is no, the question I have for you is why? Why isn't it? Because all you have to do is create the interface, and then you can easily integrate the interface into anything. Into Cortana, into Alexa, into Google Assistant. While on the exterior side of it, on the application side of it, and the module side of it, it can be doing all these other things. So when we look into the future is an exciting place because machines are going to be able to do things better than we can, which means you're going to become even more streamlined. A real AI system plugged into your financial infrastructure of your business is going to save you money in ways that you cannot imagine. And a couple of years down the line, you're going to be able to take your existing language interface and start connecting it to all of these modules, where it's always speaking the language of your business. Okay, it's always speaking on your behalf with your message, with your vision, with your language. So today what I want to do is I want to look at the 3 things that an AI language infrastructure is going to do for your business right away. And number 1 is, if you build a language interface, it's going to allow you to explore the language itself. And it's so important to understand how we're communicating with our customer. It is important that we teach our employees to communicate with our customer and stick to the message, stick to the vision. We need to train employees to speak a certain way, to speak the language of the business. The language of your business is the most important part of your business because it is the communication side of your business. How are you communicating with your employees? How are you communicating with your customer? How are you communicating with your suppliers or your vendors? All of these things go into the fabric and the framework of what your business is, and they're all connected by the language of your business. And maybe you're just now, your wheels are starting to spin. Good. Because as we build a language infrastructure, you're going to notice the way that you communicate with your customers and with your prospects and with your clients, whatever kind of business that you're in. You're going to notice the way that a conversation typically takes place. And by looking at those conversations coming in through your interface, you're going to be able to determine, well, hey, wait a minute, when I said this like this, 59% of the people who are coming across that question or that response to that question at that particular time are bouncing. You know, something's happening, and it depends on how you set your interface up. There are a million ways you can do this. Okay, we're not going to go over all the different ways. What I want to do is I want to show you the fundamentals. I want to show you how you can get in there and you can use AIML, or you can use Google Dialogflow, or once you understand these 2, you're going to be able to use any of them, okay, because they all basically work the same way. So if you want to use Microsoft's framework, if you want to use IBM's framework, whatever you want to do, you're going to be able to do. And, you know, maybe you don't even want to do it. And at the end of this course, at the end, if you scroll down to the bottom of the PDF, you're going to find options available to you that are related to what we're talking about here today. So examining the language of your business, that is the first important thing. The second thing is it's going to do is it's going to enable you to explore the process of your business. And this is just as important as the language of your business. It is the way you do things. Okay, so once you start building the language out, you're going to look at the process of, first of all, getting customers. Okay, how are you getting new customers? How are you attracting prospects? How are you getting people to look at what you have to offer? So from the front door all the way out the door and back again, or out the door never to come back again, those are the things you're going to explore and see, wait a minute, we have a breakdown in our system right here. You're going to be able to see exactly where it is, because as a small business owner, you a lot of times don't have the time to think about things like this. You don't have the time to think about your process or the language. How are you interacting? How are you communicating through all sides of your business? And with a language infrastructure, you're going to communicate to your vendors and your suppliers a little bit differently than you're going to communicate to your customers. And those are things you're going to want to think about in the long term, not right away, but in the long term with your language infrastructure, because the future of artificial intelligence is going to enable you to automate a lot of things. And you can do it in a generic, put it in a box sort of way where it seems professional, but the companies in the future who are serious about their brand, they're serious about their message, they're not going to want to go with the Me Too approach. Your competition isn't going to want to go with a Me Too approach. And I can promise you this, if you get out right now, get ahead, and start building your language infrastructure, you're going to be way ahead of your competition. A year, 2 years, 3 years. The majority of people, when a technology really starts to take off, the majority of people don't really start to trust it for 3, 4, 5 years into it. By that time, just like with the internet or anything else, the movers are the movers and shakers. They're the ones who are making things happen, and they become the big companies because they took advantage of the technology at the right time. And that's what I think I'm offering you here, is the advantage of seeing an opportunity, seeing the future at a point in time where you can take advantage of future integration starting today. And that's pretty exciting. So finally, and it's going to do a lot more than this, but this is what we're talking about today, 3 things that it's going to help you do. Finally, it's going to allow you to develop a bigger vision for the future of your company. Because when you can examine the process and you can examine the language and you can start to see the pathways that exist inside of your business, you start to see your business in a digital way. Okay, and what I mean by that is there are pathways inside of any model. And there are deviating paths along those pathways. There are contingencies and different things that happen. But typically, the experience is the same experience for the majority of people. Okay, and if you can plug into that path, you can plug into that experience and you can make it better. You can see how it works. You can start to imagine, well, wait a minute, if I were to integrate this here, what would that do for my productivity? Here's what I would have to spend, but per hour, what is that going to cost me? And that's the thing with the future. You almost kind of look at it like buying a car. 50 years ago, people would have laughed at you if you said, oh, I'm going to pay $40,000 for a car. And, you can adjust for inflation and all that other stuff, but still, it's so ridiculous. The thought of it is so ridiculous that you would finance this car for this amount of money. But when you look at the structure, the infrastructure of our society, you can't live without a car. And you can buy a used car or whatever, but if you want a nice new car, you're going to pay $30,000 or $40,000 for it. Period. And you can get a nice, cheaper car than that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying on average, that's what you're going to spend. And when you look at $30,000 or $40,000 for a machine that's going to be inside of your business, it's like, oh, that's crazy. But think about the future infrastructure. And is it crazy? If that machine only has to charge for 3 or 4 hours a day, and the rest of the day, so the online part of that machine, the interaction with your customers and the phone and all that stuff, that is going to take place 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's never going to stop. It's going to be a 24-hour employee. Okay, you're never, ever going to have to do anything to that part of it. Okay, now on the mechanism side of it, if you have robot integration, and it's crazy we're sitting here talking about this stuff. I know that it is, but if you do, in the future, you're going to be able to do things that you were not able to do before. You're going to be able to imagine things that you really weren't able to imagine before. And the future is it. You know, if you look at the typical fast food restaurant, the typical experience, it's from the 1990s. We're living in a perpetual version of the 1990s. The infrastructure of fast food really hasn't changed. And it needs to. The infrastructure of a lot of business models that are typical, a lot of them are typical of the 1930s. You know, there's no vision. That's what it's going to allow you to do. So developing a language infrastructure is going to allow you to develop a vision of the future. What future integrations are going to do for your business, what they're going to do for your employees, what they're going to do for your family, in your personal life. Get on the cutting edge. Educate yourself about this technology. Now that you're going to learn the language interface, learn what else is out there. Learn about the financial applications that are out there that can streamline data entry into QuickBooks and all of the things that you have to manually do. A lot of those things can be done on autopilot. And what is that going to do? It's going to make your business more profitable. You're going to be more profitable because the technology, as cost effective as it is now, it's getting cheaper. It's not getting more expensive. It's getting cheaper to do these things. The key is recognizing it, acting on it, taking advantage of it, and getting ahead of the curve. Get ahead of the learning curve. Get out there in front. Then you can consult your small business owner friends on integrating AI into their business. This is a huge opportunity. I really hope you recognize it. I really do.